Welcome one and all to the Do Dissidents podcast. So I do want to start, of course, by introducing the founder and host of Status Coup, Jordan Sheridan. Jordan, thank you for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it, my friend.
I am ready to keep fighting, hopefully together. That's a very nice sentiment. Do you feel that over the last several months, where you've been attacking channels that disagree with you politically as grifters, assuming ill will on their part for having a difference of opinion in exactly the way that you accuse people of in the article, do you feel that's in keeping with the spirit of those sentiments?
You'd have to be a little more specific. Who are you talking about? Jimmy Dore, others?
Well, you mentioned Jimmy Dore, and you mentioned some mini-me channels, as you like to call them.
I think there are just specific people that play for clicks. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Jimmy for an hour, but I knowing Jimmy, because I used to work with him and I used to be friends with him, how Jimmy talks now is not the Jimmy I knew 3-4 years ago. And people who know Jimmy will tell you that. Yeah, I definitely occasionally will say something if I still feel strongly, but it's just not to the degree that a lot of these channels spend all their time. I mean, the amount of time spent on Ryan Grimm and David Sirota and Crystal Ball. I mean, if you're going to say that's not for clicks, we just disagree. Yeah, I definitely occasionally will say something if I still feel strongly, like Jimmy Dore, including Jimmy, by the way. Every one of you were covering TYT versus Jimmy Dore for 4 fucking months. It was embarrassing. I'll answer you. I just don't get, like, why do you want to spend all our time talking about Jimmy Dore? I don't get it. Jimmy, Jimmy Dore. It's all Jimmy Dore's fault. Jimmy Dore's all Jimmy's. I don't know why we're talking so much about Jimmy Dore. Jimmy was just Jimmy. Embarrassing. Jimmy Dore. Jimmy started this mindset.
Well, who are you talking about?
Who are you talking
about? Jimmy has.
Well,
wait a minute. I think Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, Jimmy Dore. If people don't agree with us on everything politically, maybe we shouldn't ascribe that they're like liberals or sellouts or frauds or cowards. Maybe we just don't agree with people that claim they're anti-war, that just like lick Putin's balls, which is what's going on with Jimmy and certain others. I think Jimmy is acting like a Putin stand-up. When I watch Jimmy Dore, he sounds like he might as well be on RT. If I think that Jimmy is, for example, like
this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live. This is why we need independent media.
Apparently, there's a new and updated video where he says it 55 times. Jimmy, 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 living rent-free in Jordan Sheridan's head. Hey, everyone. My name is Kit Capello. Welcome to another edition of Hard Lens Media. We are live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central on YouTube, Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, and Twitch. So good to have all of you here with us. Shout out to all you lovely people. Good morning. We got Fred Edward in the house. We've got, hey, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. We got Dr. Nick Riviera, our official general surgeon, here in the chat. We've got Lawrence Johnson. We've got the Quantum Alchemist. We got so many lovely people here with us. Good morning, my sunshines, my lovelies. I hope you're safe on your way to work. Or if you're leaving work, you did that early morning shift like yours truly did, get home safe. And if it's your day off, dance off, pants off. So there you go. As always, folks, grab some whiskey, pour it in your coffee, grab a mimosa, smoke a bowl, do some shrooms, chew on some cocoa leaves, whatever you need to do to get you through this Tuesday morning. we got ourselves a really huge, gigantic show to talk about. I mean, it's so huge. It's incredible. It's going to be in your face 24/7. So good to have all of you here. Mima Flowers, love you, Kit, as you should. Love you too. Love you too. Love all of you. Good morning. Good morning. I hope all of you are safe. We got, let's see. Reality Revolution. Half the people in here haven't liked the stream yet. Oh my goodness, that is so devastating. I know. If you haven't had a chance, please hit the like button. It does help out our channel. And also, if you do want to help out our channel even further, because again, there's a lot of projects I want to work on. Case in point, I really want to be prepped and ready for the Chicago 2024 Democratic Convention. I know it's a Democratic Party, and listen, if you want to be convinced to vote Democrat, go watch another YouTube channel. All right, I'm not going to tell you how to vote, and especially with the first story I'm going to bring up, it's once again kind of convinced me why I'm never going to vote Democrat or Republican ever again, why I'm going to vote third party, independent, and support citizen ballot initiatives. But less on that. We do want to cover the Chicago convention that's going to be happening here. In order to do that, we need proper gear and equipment to do proper live streams and interviews so that all of you can get some very good content and find out what's happening on the ground in the city of Chicago for the 2024 Democratic Convention. If you want to, please consider being a patron supporter. By being a patron supporter, you get the patron show. Plus, also, you get invited to our movie night. That's right, movie night. And you get your name read on the show. And for that, I have to say I'm forever grateful and thankful that all of you are so faithful in watching Hard Lens Media. So Elliot Grossman, Emily, Emma Beveridge, Eric T, Farron Frosnick, F, Google, Fajusha Cake. Good to see you. Good to see you, Gary Geshowitz. We got Gilbert Galinas. We got GNC. We got Gwen Hun, Hugo Gutierrez. I dare not speak his name. And good friend of the show, Indy Left. So I got a couple announcements too. Sunday, 1 p.m. Central, Jimmy Dore will be on the show. I will be interviewing Jimmy Dore. And on Monday morning, an interview with Tara Reid. That's right. I told you things are going to get intensified. I told you things are going to get turned up to 11. I told you. So here you go. So, yes, so we'll be talking about Jimmy. So, all right, it's good. Now we got Black Zen in the house. And according to Dr. Nick Riviera, Black Zen, it's a party now. You goddamn Skippy. You better believe it. All right. You know, you may not know this, but Black Zen is also a student of the Cisco on Deep Space Nine. The course we took, Federation History. X. All right. Enough of that. Enough screwing around. I want to make sure you get acknowledgement of all the people watching us on Rockfin. We got all you good people here. Good to see you. We got our people on Odyssey. We got all our people on Twitch as well. Lovely as always. Please take good care of yourselves, as you should. Always take care of yourselves and enjoy your morning with Hard Lens Media. Without further ado, I think it's only important that we get started with our first segment of the day. So Glenn Greenwald had an exclusive sit-down interview with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, there are, to be fair here, some things in which I agreed with RFK and things I have to commend him on how he changed his mind on Russiagate, his stance more or less maybe on Ukraine war, how he is willing to pardon Snowden and Assange, which is interesting. I'll play that commentary video. And then, of course, the back and forth conversation of Roger Waters, or the back and forth of Glenn Greenwald speaking about Roger Waters and deleting the tweet. So, again, some things are going to be interesting to bring up. Other things, not so much. Again, look, I'm not going to tell anyone how to vote, especially when it comes down to this convention or how this primary is going to play out, especially for Democratic voters. I'm not expecting much from anyone running in the Democratic Party, be it Marianne Williamson, RFK Jr., definitely not Biden. And now there's rumors of even Gavin Newsom even throwing his hat in the ring. So potentially running a shadow campaign. If you vote Democrat, know this. Chances are the nominee has already been picked. If it's not going to be Biden, it's going to be somebody else. And there's this really lame attempt to try and push up Kamala Harris as well, because let's face it, and let's be clear here, Joe Biden is going to be the oldest sitting president in U.S. history should he be reelected, and a vote for Biden is more or less a vote for Kamala. Now, I want to get back on hand with the conversation of RFK Jr. and Glenn Greenwald, and these are a couple of highlights from the interview. And it's up to all of you, the viewing audience, to decide how you want to vote. I understand we have some supporters of RFK Jr. who are part of our audience. And for that, you know, everyone has to come down to their own conclusion. But again, if you vote Democrat or Republican, you as a voter do not have a seat at the table. With that being said, let's check out this first video. And it has to deal with RFK Jr. changing his mind on Russiagate.
About your candidacy and doing so in a largely positive way, but alluded to the fact that there were some differences I had with you. Mentioned the fact that you seem to me to be a kind of vehement supporter of Russiagate. Your campaign contacted me, said they thought that was an unfair characterization. I went back and looked and concluded that at least it was excessive. And I went on the air a couple days later and kind of withdrew that characterization and said there's no need for me to kind of try and describe his views because he's going to be here and I can ask him. So here you are. In terms of this Russiagate narrative that really dominated our politics for 5 or 6 years, and the two prongs of it were that the Trump campaign collaborated with the Kremlin to hack into the DNC emails and manipulate the outcome of the 2016 election. And the subsidiary claim was that Trump was some sort of a puppet of Vladimir Putin or controlled by the Kremlin due to blackmail and other leverage. What is your view now about the veracity of those two claims?
Well, I think that there was a period, which you're correct about, that I just accepted the mainstream narrative. And, you know, part of that is just my own fault of not being skeptical about it. And part of it also may have been just my natal, bias against Donald Trump, which I'm, I was like most Democrats, I was probably just happy to hear anything that confirmed my own notion of Donald Trump. The first time that I had any kind of inkling that there was that narrative may not be complete or accurate was when I was having dinner with Oliver Stone. And Oliver Stone lives about a half mile from where I live, and he had Cheryl and I for dinner one night, and with his son Sean, who who's a podcaster and a political critic, and it's the two of them. I don't know how it came up, but maybe one of us, Cheryl, I mentioned it, but he scoffed in a way that was very dismissive, and then had a sort of a brief dialogue about a brief monologue about how there was nothing to that story. And it seemed to me, of course, you're with Oliver Stone, so you think, well, he's a guy who's embracing fringe theories anyway, and you just don't know. But it put the first seed of doubt into my head.
Now, again, hearing this, obviously, yes, everyone probably had their own bias. Everyone had their own perspective of Donald Trump ascending to the presidency in 2016. That is to be expected. We all know many people who immediately got Trump derangement syndrome, and we're happy to hear anything to explain the reason why Hillary Clinton lost. The real reason why Hillary Clinton lost was because she was an unpopular candidate and voters were not impressed with her. She was the bottom of the barrel, and let's face it, the DNC worked with the Hillary Clinton campaign to deny Bernie Sanders the nomination. And of course, Bernie Sanders, being the cuck that he was, chose to not fight back at all. Now, obviously, we know the truth about Russiagate. It's a conspiracy. Not only just with the Durham report, but hell, the Mueller report. Remember Mueller time on TYT? I know. Cringe times indeed. But the truth is that the media created a narrative that fooled millions upon millions of Americans. And unfortunately, there are plenty of Americans, no matter where they stand in the socio-economic ladder in this neoliberal nightmare that we call America, that still believe that narrative. Hey, YouTube, you ever going to hold MSNBC or CNN accountable for the lie that they peddled? Is Max Blumenthal the only person in the media outlet circle that's actually going to ever confront these jagoffs that actually lied and continue to perpetuate that lie? Let's continue on.
And then in 2020, when people started criticizing, including myself, the methodology that was being used to improve the COVID vaccines, I all of a sudden started seeing these propaganda tropes, or these tropes that were appearing all the time, saying anybody who criticizes vaccines is probably a Russian bot or a Russian stooge. So then I started thinking, oh, okay, so here's what they're doing. And it, it may be orchestrated. And then I think at that point I was open to hearing a different story. And then I started seeing the piles of evidence, but I still was neutral on it. I mean, in my mind, the jury was out on this stuff until I saw, the recent disclosures, the Durham report, et cetera, that showed that that it makes it look like the entire thing was fabricated from a whole cloth.
And again, that's the truth. So I have to tip my hat and say, at least, okay, fine. You had dinner with your rich friends. You spoke to, Oliver Stone, and you started looking into the facts yourself and came out to realize that, okay, maybe you've been lied to. Maybe it was all one big conspiracy. And for that, I know people that eventually have come to terms with realizing that Russiagate and all this Trump derangement syndrome was manufactured by the media. Sometimes there's a lot of people who just believe the facts, and that's how powerful corporate media is. When I say that it successfully brainwashed people into believing the neoliberal narratives, this is a prime example of it. So can't hate them too much on it. You came to your own conclusion, but folks, there's going to be other videos that will make you say, okay, I'm not participating in the Democratic primary at all, or I'm not going to be engaged in electoral politics either.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I focused on it so much was not necessarily because I thought it was an unfair and baseless conspiracy theory that was being propagated by the U.S. security state and the corporate media, which I do think it was. I thought the much more important implication was it was essentially making it so that it was virtually criminalized, inherently so, for American officials to talk to Russian officials. Michael Flynn almost went to prison for calling the Russian ambassador to talk about U.S.-Russian relations. People were petrified of having conversations with Russians because of fear that it would be used to suggest they were sort of a Kremlin loyalist or a traitor. When I look now at the kind of fervor, the anti-Russian fervor that's driving the war in Ukraine, to me, a lot of it seems to have come from this kind of anti-Russian sentiment that Democrats in particular were encouraged to feed on for all these years as part of Russiagate, going back to 2016 when they blamed Russia rather than the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton for her defeat. I'm wondering if that's something that concerns you, this idea that so many Americans are being taught to view the Russians kind of the way we looked at them in the Cold War as this grave existential threat to the United States, and that in part is what is driving what you described as this bellicose mindset toward Moscow.
We've seen all the posts on social media, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, especially with this war in Ukraine. Let's be clear here. This war could have been avoided. At any point in time, this war could have been avoided. This war could have been avoided. But because of the media and the narrative of Russiagate, this ridiculous conflict was allowed to happen and has continued to escalate even to this day. And already there's talks about even more aid packages, which is downright despicable when I'm having to wonder, well, gee, when's the American people going to get a relief package? I think we're overdue for one for quite some time.
No.
The answer to your question is yes. now I see in some way the Ukraine war, that I see a lot of those, that the Russian propaganda tropes that we were being force fed through the mainstream media, and always, with the sourced to a U.S. intelligence agent, an unnamed U.S. intelligence agency, which is always suspect, and usually coming out of the Washington Post and the New York Times, which have these deep almost mockingbird-like relationships with the U.S. intelligence agencies. And now I see that as kind of the runway to the Ukraine war. That it was all, that we were being propagandized to see the Russians as an existential enemy.
And again, I have to commend him for changing his mind and also giving his thoughts on this ridiculous war in Ukraine. However, with that, I do want to bring up this other video as well with his thoughts on Ukraine and how the United States provoked it, or provoked war with Russia. Or let me rephrase that again. How through this proxy war, Russia was provoked to invade Ukraine. Let's play this video.
Ask you about Ukraine, just one more question, which is, I've heard you before criticize President Biden the way a lot of people have, that it seems very striking. There's no effort, seemingly, to try and end this war diplomatically. If anything, there seems to be an attempt on the United States to block diplomatic efforts to end this war. Do you think it would have been possible to diplomatically avert the war beforehand, or to end it now? And if so, how would you do that?
Yeah, I think it could be ended immediately. To me, it seems.
To which I have to challenge RFK Jr. and say, all right, you want to end it immediately. Even Donald Trump says he can end it in one day from that infamous CNN town hall. Okay, that's an idealistic perspective. However, you have to take into account of the many war profiteers that are in both the Democratic and Republican parties. And of course, the investment from corporate media. There has to be an overall conclusion if, again, this war continues to go on, especially into the 2024 election cycle, which chances are it probably will, because, again, there are many people that are making a huge financial killing, including your fantastic lawmakers in the U.S. Senate and House. Yes, they are doing insider trading, and yes, they are profiting off of war. That's what our lawmakers do. They take money from their donors, but they also do insider trading as well. They don't have your concerns at the top of their head. Like I said before, these politicians, they don't like you, they don't think about you, they don't respect you. And to which I have to say to RFK Jr., okay, you're indicating an end to the conflict. How are you effectively going to pull that off when the military-industrial complex pulls the strings in Washington, D.C.? Senator Dick Durbin is quoted about the banks. They run this place, but so do other lobby groups and huge, huge financial powers that profit off of war.
It's clear that Putin did not want this war, that he didn't, even in, when the Donbass voted 90-10 to join Russia, Putin didn't want them. Putin said, no, you stay in Ukraine. And then, he was part of the proposal of the Minsk Accords, which would have left Donbass part of Ukraine and, an autonomous region so that they could protect their the Russian ethnic citizens who were then being murdered by the Azov battalion and by the Ukrainian government, and that they could continue to practice their own language and culture. And, but that, I think that's the basis for a peace agreement. And the key part of the Minsk Accords was that NATO would agree permanently, we are not going into Ukraine, which is an understandable request from Russia, who has been invaded 3 times through the Ukraine. The last time in 41, 1 out of every 7 Russians was killed.
Now, again, this is a historical fact. Russia does fear another invasion. I mean, It is something that is engraved, I think, in many nations' mindset. That's the fear of invasion, and Russia knows it firsthand. The aftermath of World War II even still resonates in this modern day and age. And the thing is, you have many people that continue on to play this game of warfare. Now, the only difference between what was going on in the 40s and now is that we have these huge weapons of mass destruction pointed at every single major metropolitan city. And that should we have a big-brained idiot decide to push that shiny red button, that's the end of the human species. The fact that this war is still ongoing, and it is involving a major global superpower and the United States and other global superpowers in the sidelines financing Ukraine, this war does have the potential of escalating into something far more deadlier. Now, all this could have been avoided. Diplomacy could have taken place. Nobody needed to die, but people wanted to make a profit. And yes, it's the top 1%ers that are playing this game. It isn't democracy versus oligarch, tyranny versus freedom. No, it's oligarchs versus oligarchs who are making a huge financial killing in the blood of people. And so when I hear the words of RFK Jr., or yes, even Donald Trump saying they want to end this war, it sounds good. It sounds good on paper. But there are far more vile people who come in many shapes and forms, who are in key positions of power, that view this war as their best financial portfolio. It's a sad truth. And when you have a media that doesn't even investigate into why there's a war, there's a reason why, again, anyone who speaks outside the establishment or outside the establishment narrative, including RFK Jr., which, again, the videos coming up, once again, convince me why I'm not voting Democrat. We need to always be on alert about how our system is being run. That's why I say we need to build movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., because the people in positions of power do not have our best interests at heart.
And a third of the Russians Russia was reduced to rubble. So of course they don't want an enemy military in charge of the Ukraine. And they made that clear since 1992, since they took the wall down. And the one request they made, they said, you can put NATO troops in United Germany. We will withdraw 400,000 troops from United Germany, but do not make us a promise. You will not move NATO to the east. And we promised them, yeah, we won't move it 1 inch to the east. Well, we moved it 1,000 miles to the east into 14 new countries. And now we've surrounded and encircled the Russians, and we're treating them like the enemy. And of course, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then, Glenn, the clear evidence that the United States was involved in the 2014 coup that removed Viktor Yanukovych's government, which is a government, Ukrainian government that was duly elected by the Ukrainian people, and that we regarded as too sympathetic to the government of Russia. And so, we pumped $5 billion into the project of overthrowing that government.
Now, I do want to pull up another video, and here's where we see the back and forth between Glenn Greenwald and RFK Jr. about the decision to delete a tweet praising Roger Waters. Now, for those of you who do not know about Roger Waters and the current controversy surrounding him, there are many people that want to censor and silence Roger Waters due to him performing his show that he's been doing for 40 years, The Wall. Again, there is a moment during that production where the main character of The Wall has a delusion where he is a quasi-fascist dictator. Now, the thing, it's satire, keyword, making fun, ridiculing fascism. Now, Roger Waters has been doing this show for 40 years. So for all these people that want to cancel and censor Roger Waters and saying that he's anti-Semitic, here, I'm actually going to look at the camera. For those people who are saying that Roger Waters is anti-Semitic and have been paying attention to the lyrics of what The Wall is about, or perhaps you're unaware that he's been doing the show for 40 years, are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Hell, maybe all of the above. I mean, are you paying attention to the lyrics of all the songs or what the production's all about? Do you need help understanding what art is, what music is? Because if you're mentally challenged and you don't know what the wall is, maybe take time out of your day, pour yourself a cup of tea, go on the interwebs, and do the research. Do some reading, because it'll help you know what you're talking about instead of trying to cancel Roger Waters or making this ridiculous false statement that he's anti-Semitic. He is not. He is not. Okay? He's anti-war. He's been consistent about that. But if you can't understand that, then there's no helping you. So let's play this video.
A recent controversy in which you found yourself more as a window to understand some of your broader views, which was the praise you originally offered for Roger Waters with regard to his stance on both Ukraine, which he is opposed to in terms of the U.S. proxy war, as well as COVID. He was questioning a lot of the same orthodoxies you were. And then you ended up deleting that tweet where you praised him and made clear that the reason was because he had held views on Israel and Palestine that you didn't share. I want to ask you about the specific kind of divergencies that you have with him on that question. But before I get into that, why was it necessary for you to delete your praise for Roger Waters just because you disagree with him on Israel? Can't you praise him on Ukraine and COVID and then at the same time say, but there are other issues, including Israel, where...
Again, seems reasonable, Glenn. And this is where RFK Jr. and yes, even voting or even participating in the Democratic primary is a fool's idea. This is where, again, I'm once again reinforced with my perspective of what I saw in 2016 and in 2020, why it's pointless to vote in the Democratic primary. Now, if you want to vote for Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr. in the Democratic primary, fine. I can respect that decision. I just hope that your candidate's willing to fight for the nomination. But then again, too, this is the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party has special interests, including the Israeli lobby. Like there's the military-industrial complex and big oil and big pharma. You got to kiss the rings. All of them.
I have differences. Why did you delete the praise entirely?
Well, first of all, the reasons that I praised him was because of his position on the war, his position on COVID, which I thought was very courageous at a time when nobody, and also his position on Julian Assange.
Right.
I disagree, I would say fiercely, with his criticism of Israel. And
criticism of Israel is not being anti-Semitic. And I want to acknowledge someone in the live stream chat. Maria C. writes, he lost his dad in World War II fighting the Nazis. That's true. And plus, Roger Waters' father was a conscientious objector during the Second World War. That was a pretty big deal. During that time, you could face jail time. And Roger Waters' father was also part of the first responders helping people who were being bombed during the Blitz. So all these people saying that Roger Waters is anti-Semitic. Your proof is of him doing a show that he's been doing for 40 plus years, pretending to be a dictator, and then also his criticism of the Israeli government. Being critical of a government does not make you anti-Semitic. It doesn't. That's a lot of mental gymnastics that you're doing out there, people who are critical of Roger Waters. And RFK Jr., come on, buddy. There's a little bit of a stretch here. It's a little bit of a stretch here that you're doing, and you're losing me. You haven't lost me completely, but you're losing me. Because I do respect him running in the Democratic primary, even though I think it's a fool's idea. I do respect him for doing this. However, once again, when you make statements like this, you convince me why it is pointless to even vote Democrat, even if you hear a Democratic candidate saying things that are very interesting and, so wonderful. But then, you're running in a Democratic primary. Waste of time, and plus you're part of the Democratic establishment, so you already got special interests surrounding you.
I'm not, there are enough people who characterize those political differences anti-Semitic that me endorsing him felt like I was buying into that into something that was abhorrent to me.
Real quick, someone else in the chat, Natalie Williams. I'm critical of my government, yet I'm not anti-American. RFK Jr., you've been also critical of our government and our politicians too, and you're not anti-American. Okay. Being critical of the Israeli government does not make you an anti-Semite. Being critical of a government's policies doesn't make you anti the people. It makes you critical of the elected officials running said government. RFK Jr. And we do invite you to be on the show. And yes, we did send an invite out. We are on a list. We are on a list. Whether or not we get that interview, I mean, it's up in the air. It's up in the air. I've been told I'm on a list. And it is what it is.
I really disagree with I think Roger, like many critics of it, first of all, people who criticize Israeli policy should not be characterized as anti-Semitic. But people who apply a different standard to judging Israel than they would to judging an Arab country, I think then that you've crossed a line there. And I do think that Roger does that.
He's not crossing a line. He's calling out what the apartheid government is doing to the Palestinian people. I mean, have you not been paying attention to what's happening in Palestine? I mean, hell, they don't even have running water. Running water? What is that? In the West Bank? In Gaza? What? I mean, come on. It is downright deplorable what is happening there.
Now looked at some of his stuff, and I think, like I said, I do not think people who criticize that people who criticize Israel policies should not be called anti-Semitic. But I do think that many people are applying, or Israel's critics are applying, a double standard.
So just to be clear, when you were interviewed by Crystal Ball on Breaking Points, it became kind of a very talked about interview, particularly the part where she was disagreeing with you about your view on vaccines. We did a segment on this show talking about that interview, and my main critique with her, she's a friend of mine, was that I didn't have a problem with her disagreeing with your views on vaccines. Lots of people do. She described it, though, as a red line, which seemed to me her way of saying, I don't disagree with you here, but you're so far beyond the pale about an issue that I regard as so sacred that the fact that that I disagree with you here means you're basically off limits. Like, you're radioactive. You're not susceptible to consideration for support no matter what, in a way that, say, Joe Biden wouldn't be. That's the impression I got when you didn't just disagree with Waters on Israel, but deleted the praise. Namely, doesn't matter how much I agree with him. I regard him as a person who's so radioactive that he should never be praised under any circumstances because of his view on Israel. That's a red line for me. Is that essentially what motivated your deletion in how you view people like Roger Waters and those who share his views on Israel?
Again, Glenn Greenwald is absolutely correct on this, because look, again, Roger Waters, he's not a politician. He's not a tyrant. He's not a dictator. He's not a president or a prime minister or a king. He's an artist. He's a musician. And yes, everyone, including you, my audience, all of you have different perspectives and points of view. I'm friends with a lot of people across the political spectrum, be they libertarian, green, socialist, Democrat, Republican, no matter the color of skin or generation. None of us are going to think the same. And you know what? That 2016 election really taught me an important lesson. We cannot be closed-minded, and we cannot be in our own bubbles. And since then, it has gotten progressively worse. Now, I have been paying attention to when musicians or artists or directors or actors or actresses put art on display for the public to consume and look at. But it's also important to read and understand what the show is all about. The Wall is not anti-Semitic. The Wall is about something else altogether. All right? I'm not going to waste anyone's time just going into detail of what The Wall is. All right? This show's been going on for 40 years. It is inexcusable for people wanting to cancel Roger Waters. Again, I can rant all day, but let's listen to the rest of this.
No, not at all. In fact, I continue to admire Roger Waters or his positions on, you know, for his courageous positions on the Ukraine, on Julian Assange, on COVID. But, you know, because of that issue is so sensitive and radioactive to people, I did not want to leave any opportunity for people to misunderstand, since apparently, I guess, as I understand it now, he's more well known for his anti-Israel position than probably any other position. And so me praising him without making really clear what I was praising him for, and that I did not buy into his other stuff, was a source of confusion to people that I did not want to leave up there.
You could have just done an addendum tweet. You could have just also mentioned something too, or, you know, just do a video statement about why you support Roger Waters. Okay. You know, there's a lot of libertarians who I speak to who believe in less government and deregulation, etc. Be like, hey, look, I may not agree with you, but you are still my friend. You know, I've been told by people since Hardlands Media started who to interview and who not to interview. I've been told by people, oh, you shouldn't interview libertarians. Oh, you shouldn't interview Greens. You shouldn't interview this. You know, I had a couple of quote unquote activist people tell me how I should be doing my show, right? And they said, well, we don't want to be associated with you anymore. And when I've had those said activists on my show, you know, I got messages from other people saying, oh, you shouldn't interview them. See, the thing is, I'm going to run my show and what I have on this program the way I want, right? And it's up to people to make your own conclusion. But I've been very consistent here with Hard Lens Media. And what is that? I'm free speech, for giving a platform for people who want to speak their mind and introduce themselves to you, my audience. I believe in third parties and independence. I believe in citizen ballot initiatives. I've been consistent about that, folks. Consistency is key, RFK Jr.
Fair enough. I mean, I think the reason why he's most known for that is sometimes the same reason you're most known for your views on vaccines, even though you have views on lots of other things, which is because a lot of times people look for ways to take establishment critics and kind of render them radioactive by focusing on the one issue they know people will be most hostile to.
Now, I want to pull up this one last video because, again, there's the good and the bad. I will give RFK Jr. credit for this in regards towards his thoughts on Snowden and Assange.
You know, when Snowden released, nobody in our country knew about that. The intelligence agencies were mining all of our data and spying on Americans.
Members of Congress didn't know. I remember members of Congress calling me and saying, tell me what's going on. I have not the Intelligence Committee and I haven't heard this.
Yeah, and Congress then went and acted on what he told them to change the rules. Oh, how are you making this guy a criminal? He's an American hero. Yeah, I'm going to pardon those guys, you know, up front. I mean, I'm going to look at their cases. Assange, I'm going to pardon on day one.
I'm going to hold you to that, buddy. I'll hold you to that because consistency is key. Now, it's up in the air on how this Democratic primary is going to play out. Maybe we see RFK Jr. continue to gain some momentum. Let's face it, we live in a country where the two-party system dictates on how voters, who voters are going to vote for, okay? But like all people, RFK Jr., like anybody else, is flawed and has different perspectives and points of view. It is up to you, the voter, to decide how you're going to vote. Now, Hardlands Media, it's up to you guys, our viewing audience, how you want to vote, be it for any of the Republican candidates, any of the Democratic candidates, independent, third party. And if you don't want to vote, fine. But if you're not going to vote, I will ask one favor. If you live in a citizen ballot initiative state, support the citizen ballot initiative, be it good or bad. Like, again, if it's bad, vote against it. If it's good, support it, and then walk out and give a middle finger in the air. And that's it. That's a favor I'll ask. You don't have to do it, but it'll be a favor to me. But nonetheless, I know in good conscience, I cannot participate in the Democratic primary. I will not waste my vote for any Democratic or Republican candidate. I think what we need to see now for this election cycle is something different. It's time for independents and third-party movements to take hold of this country and break the neoliberal nightmare that we're in. I can commend and tip my hat towards RFK Jr. for being correct on some issues. But again, when you run the Democratic primary or run in the Democratic Party or be associated with the Democratic Party, it's one big red flag. All of you need to make your own decisions on how you want to vote for 2024. With that being said, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that ring bell notification, folks. We still got ourselves a big show today. Big old show today. Gigantic, huge, incredible. It's so incredible. We got a $5 chat. I believe it's a British pound from Maria C. I don't know you're from the great island of Great Britain. Good to have you here. That's right, Kit. Thumbs up. Thank you so much for the YouTube super chat. We also got a super chat from a bidding. Thank you so much. I believe we got another super chat. Need to acknowledge it, and I believe it's gone, and Streamlabs is not showing it, and I don't know why that is. If you gave a YouTube super chat and I missed it, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'll make it up to you. I promise. We got ourselves a big show today. Huge and gigantic. There you go. All right. With that being said, oh my goodness, we got Nkal in chat on Rumble. Good to see you. Nkal, he'll stop going on independent media. He will get tired of that question. Well, look, I sent an email out to Afro Man. I sent an email out to Dr. Cornel West. I sent an email out to RFK Jr.'s campaign. I'm sending emails out to all these candidates. If they want to be on the show, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to take the advice that Daniel gave me a long time ago. Story time for Hard Lens Media. So for those of you with Hard Lens Media, from the beginning, you might remember we had one program on the radio every Saturday. This was like 2017, 2018. So every week, every Saturday, we had a radio program. I always had a guest on. And during the 2018 midterm election cycle, I was reaching out to all the governor candidates. And there were two in particular that haven't gotten back to me. And I was like really ripping my hair out trying to get on it. And Daniel's like, how many emails did you send out? How many requests did you send? And I was like, I gave him I forget the number I gave him. But Daniel was like, all right, look, if they're not getting back to you, get to people who will be on your show. So email's been sent. Stuff's been said. Is what it is. If they get back to me, fine. If they don't, whatever. Is what it is. But hey, I got some special news since we got 250 plus people watching us. Sunday, 1 p.m. Jimmy Dore will be joining Hard Lens Media. Monday morning on June 19th, Tara Reid will be joining us. Okay, so it may not be Dr. Cornel West, Afro Man, RFK Jr., or anybody else, but you know what? We got some awesome guests. So there you go. Big Mr. Firebird, will you be taking questions? I will do everything I can to make sure there's some audience engagement. Obviously, I don't know what the candidates. If it happens, I want to make sure I structure it properly and at least get prepared to interview said candidates if it does happen. So I'll be doing everything I can to make sure that there's audience engagement too. I'll try to get to everybody, but I cannot make promises I cannot keep. But a promise is a promise. That's from Avery Brooks. And the reason why, again, I mentioned Deep Space Nine a lot. There's a quote that Avery Brooks said, and you said a promise is a promise, right? And I always try and make sure I follow through with my promises, because there was a point where he was almost not going to continue on with the show, but he remembered what he told his son about keeping true to your promise. A promise is a promise. And let's face it, Avery Brooks nailed the role as Captain Sisko, the greatest captain in Star Trek. And this ain't open for debate. When you watch Hard Lens Media, you're in the course of Federation history. X. Yes. Oh, no, not Federation History X. Again, yes. Let me rephrase that again. Yes. Federation History X. Yep, that's right, Black Zen. That's right. That is correct. All right, let's get started now with our next segment of the day. Corporate media likes to lecture you how to think. Corporate media wants to tell you how to feel. Corporate media wants you to participate in their neoliberal lies and vote in the two-party system, be it voting Democrat or Republican. And the nation, an authoritative source, is trying to tell you and talk to you as though you are too stupid to figure things out. And boy, oh boy, something's really grinding their gears in regards to Dr. Cornel West running as a third-party candidate. Now, again, I encourage third-party candidates. I want to see Dr. Cornel West and the People's Party succeed. And hey, just to tick off the two-party establishment system even further, I want to see the Libertarians succeed, and I want to see the Green Party succeed. I want to see every single independent candidate succeed. I want that to happen. I demand it to happen. It's been far too long that there's been really nothing happening to shake up the foundations of this two-party system that has been keeping the American people in the dark. So Johnny Graz, JV Graz, tweeted this out, and I'm going to read it out because, again, he tweeted far better than I could. Be sure to follow him on social media. He tweets out many good things, so shout out to him. I love how the nation keeps finessing this headline, trying to make it seem less like a privileged white brunch lady lecturing a 70-year-old black man on what he is and is not allowed to do in 2023 America. In case you're curious, here's the original headline. Cornel West has no business running for president. He doesn't see a third party playing a spoiler role to Democrats as bad, and that's inevitable, by Joan Walsh. First of all, again, vote blue, no matter who. I know you live under a rock, and I know you're stupid. Okay, I shouldn't be that mean, but again, even if Gary Johnson and Dr. Jill Stein told her supporters and everyone were following orders and went for Hillary Clinton, she would still lose. Popular vote means crap in this country. Now, in a normal republic, in a normal democracy, popular vote is, hey, whoever gets the popular vote wins. One and done. No debate. But in the United States, we have the Electoral College. So whoever wins the Electoral College gets to become president of these United States here in North America. It's not open for debate, okay? So third-party candidates, also, it's not a spoiler vote. That said third-party candidate earned said voters' support. Now, the Democratic Party and Republican Party have shown me numerous times that they're both part of the same club. Same people who donate to Democrats are the same people who donate to Republicans. Same people who control both parties control our corporate media. And I'm tired of this lie that third parties are this horrible thing. Again, third parties, in fact, we should have a multi-parliamentary system, but I'd even go even further. We should abolish all political parties, but that's a conversation for another day. It's a sign of a healthy, robust republic expressing democratic values. But so many people suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. By the way, here's a new headline. Let's be clear, because this is the new headline now. Let's be clear. Running for president, Cornel West will only take votes away from Biden to help elect a Republican. That's not how it works, my lovely. No, Joan. No. Here. Let's be clear. Running for president, Cornel West will only take votes away from Biden to help elect a Republican. Oh, my goodness. How about this one? Is Cornel West running just to raise the profile of issues he feels are neglected? Or does he want to put a real electoral pressure on Joe Biden? If West is serious about a second goal, the People's Party is definitely not the right vehicle. Well, then what the hell is the Nation? Here, the Nation goes on to continue this. Formed in 2017, the People's Party has been a fringe, ramshackle, scandal-ridden operation with accusations of assault being leveled against founder Nick Brana. To which I have to say, the Democratic Party doesn't have scandals. I mean, I know they got skeletons in the closet. Republican Party doesn't have scandals. They got skeletons in their closet. I know there's criticism towards the People Party. Look, I get it. I understand it. But look, Dr. Cornel West made his decision. And it's up to us as voters, as individual citizens, to choose whether to support him or vote for him or not. That is up to us to make the decision, not the nation, not the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party, not CNN, not Fox News, not MSNBC, not ABC, not CBS, not the goddamn New York Times. Nobody. It's up to voters to make that decision. I understand the People's Party's got its scandals. But let's not sit here all high and mighty and pretend that the Democratic Party and Republican Party are nothing but little angels and all their politicians are good people who care about the working class citizens of this great nation of ours, because get the hell out of here. See, corporate media is afraid of a third party movement. Corporate media is afraid of something new challenging the system. Corporate media, well, they're nothing but cowards. And now Democrats want to continue to perpetuate this myth that somehow third parties will destroy the republic. And oh no, here comes Donald Trump. I'll pull up this video from Case Study QB. Be sure to follow Case Study QB. He's still wrongly being censored on Twitter. Elon Musk fixed that. Again, it didn't happen under Elon Musk's regime. It happened under the previous Twitter regime. But Elon, you could fix that. Help out. Hashtag help out Case Study QB. Let's play this video. And yes, it's from Fox News. But again, I find it interesting that Fox News has been kind of been saying something very interesting about third parties. And yes, vote blue. I hope this triggers you.
Real concern now among Democrats about a third-party candidate in 2024. The bipartisan group No Labels has serious money to launch an independent campaign, and it suggests a unity ticket could get enough electoral votes from moderate states to win the White House. But the center-left think tank Third Way says any third-party run would ultimately help the GOP.
Right here, Third Way. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. A third party's going to ruin everything. You know, by the way, just so y'all know, long time ago, it used to be Federalists and Whigs. Then it became Democrats and Whigs. Then, oh, hey, my goodness, this party came along. You might not have heard of him. Well, it was led by this guy, old Abe Lincoln, the Republican Party. No one talks about that. No one talks about the Bull Moose Party, which had it gone further, who knows where we would be. Theodore Roosevelt, I wish he never quit. Theodore Roosevelt ran as a third-party candidate. Then, of course, you got Ross Perot. You have Ralph Nader. You have Gary Johnson, Dr. Jill Stein. I mean, let's face it, Americans want another choice. And now almost 50% of this country identifies itself as independent, as a third-party voter, as they should. Because we as voters don't have a seat in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party.
Recent op-ed titled, "Don't Count a Third Party Out in 2024" says in part, Democrats and their aligned groups see a third party as an existential threat. Kellyanne Conway on the powerful role of a third party candidate.
Even if you don't become president, you as a third party candidate spoiler can decide who is the president. This happened in 1992 when we had Bush 41 as the incumbent, and a guy named Bill Clinton, the Arkansas governor, got elected with 43.5% of the vote. Why? Because Ross Perot got 19% of the popular vote.
And I'm glad Ross Perot did. Jesus Christ, everyone made fun of him making that vacuum noise about NAFTA. That man hit the mark. People laughed at him. They should have been listening. That vacuum noise, ha, 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 ha. No one's laughing now. That third party candidate called it out. I'm glad he got 90% of the vote. Good. Any chance to screw over the Democratic Party or any chance to screw over the Republican Party, I embrace it. I love it. Ross Perot, you called it, man. You called it. He called it. And it's not open for debate.
Even though he didn't rack up any electoral votes.
And of course, what everybody's thinking about, and I don't know if the team has the picture, Cornel West has jumped in with the People's Party. But more importantly, what about that intra-party candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's ticking up to 20% of where Democrats say that they would vote?
Well, I think Robert Kennedy Jr. doesn't have a chance at all. I think what's more circumstantial would be this third-party candidate, right? If West gets on the ballot in multiple states, of course, now we're talking about something different. If Manchin's on the ballot as a third-party candidate.
First of all, Fox News, Manchin is a corporatist through and through, be it Democrat or Republican. This whole idea of him being this centrist person, ugh. Let's not say he's third party. No, that boy, along with Sinema, they're not mavericks or free thinkers. What they are corporatists. I mean, come on, especially looking at Sinema's history. Started off as an activist, knife in the back to the activist community. Started off as a Green Party candidate, knife in the back to the Green Party people. Started off as a progressive Democrat, knife in the back to progressive Democrats. Then became a centrist Democrat or a moderate, pragmatic Democrat. Oh, knife in the back to them. All of them Arizona voters, by the way. Ask the people of Arizona how they feel about Sinema. In fact, hey, if we got people from Arizona in our audience right now, tell us how you really feel about Sinema. I mean, how you really feel. Go ahead. Speak freely. It's okay. Sinema can't hurt you. She's out there, drinking fine wine and, once again, making a killing in probably a lot of lobby money and maybe some investments. Who knows? These politicians are not good people.
But again,
what do Democrats do if that happens?
It depends on what type of candidate it is. And yes, that could take
well,
away
those are two.
votes.
So what does that look like potentially with Manchin? Cornel West is in.
Well, I think when I look at this, I think it's more of a problem for Trump. Look, he's got over 10 candidates running against him in the primary. We can only point to RFK in the Democratic primary.
David,
there's a lot of dissension.
I adore you, but that's a little bit of
I think when we talk to Republicans...
And I know I mentioned the word unicorn. I just didn't think it was going to be you.
Well, maybe
okay,
Tammy. Vote for anybody but Trump.
Yeah. RFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy. They should start calling him Bobby Kennedy.
All right, let's continue on because there's actually a second part to this video. Again, shout out to Case Study QB. Follow him on Twitter, please.
He's not,
Please follow him on Twitter.
Is to the left. He's not, but he's reasonable. And I think his numbers are going to continue to get,
he's not a
better.
Party, though.
He is not. But at the same time, if you have a bloc like a Cornel West who affects the African-American vote, who peels people off that they're already having trouble with, Donald Trump already has, made terrific inroads to the black vote around the country. So that presents a dynamic that is worse for the Democrats than it is for Donald Trump. And at the same time, I think what the Democrats have to do, and you might be seeing it, no debates, right? Running it from the basement.
Does that work,
spending all the money. Look who won the presidency. Spending all that money.
I think
and then hoping.
Is an issue.
So we're going to pause here because I want to pull up another video. But before we pull up this video, Carlos Van Jang writes in the live stream chat, that guy's forehead used to be a drive-in movie screen. We'll investigate that statement, but I think you might be spot on because he's got a big old forehead. Let's go ahead and pull up this other video here from Fox News. You might have seen this on RBN. I think it's important that we talk about Dr. Cornel West and really what a third-party movement can do.
Options. Walk down the grocery aisle, you got about 100 different brands of cereal. You can buy a car just about any shape, size, or color. You go to a diner, you can get anything from pancakes to rigatoni. Now, we have a ton of options in just about every aspect of our lives, except politics. And once you hit the general, you're left with two candidates, a Democrat and a Republican. And if you don't like either, you're out of luck. What about a third-party candidate? Back in '92, Ross Perot got 20% of the popular vote as a third-party candidate. He cost Bush the election.
Ross Perot struck a chord with voters and shook up America's political landscape in the process. In 1992 and 96, Ross Perot mobilized over 5 million voters to get him on the ballot and was the most successful third-party candidate.
Hey, look, something completely foreign and unheard of. A third-party candidate on the debate stage.
In U.S. history.
A third-party candidate can be deadly in the general. Right now, half of Americans say they'd consider voting for a third-party candidate if it's Trump versus Biden. So there's an open lane, and someone's sliding in. His name's Cornel West.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party.
And Cornel West's a far-left guy. There's an appetite on the left for a guy who's anti-war, anti-Wall Street, anti-big tech. All the mainstream socialists, AOC, Bernie, they've abandoned the people who voted for them.
How sad is it that Fox News has to call that out? Hey, Bernie, AOC, what's it like knowing that Fox News is actually doing the job and calling you both out for the fact that you've abandoned your principles. I mean, hell, AOC, you said that Biden exceeded expectations. Bernie, you went ahead and bent over not once, twice, but 3 times in a row for the Democratic establishment for 2016, 2020, and now in 2024. Hey, how's that Medicare for All thing going for you? Oh, wait. Turns out Democrats are just screwing you over on that, too. Look, voting in either party, you don't have a seat at the table. And I think it's right now important for voters to participate and support third parties. 50% of this country identifies itself as independent, as we should. Ross Perot was spot on. How interesting is it that there was a third chair there between Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Ross Perot? Ralph Nader in 2000 still remains vilified to this day. You have Republicans vilifying Ross Perot, but you have liberals vilifying Ralph Nader. And even now to this day, you have Vote Blue, no matter who, sycophants vilifying Dr. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson because Hillary Clinton was not a popular candidate. Did it ever come down to the conclusion that maybe Bush Sr., Al Gore, and yes, even Hillary Clinton were just not popular people and that people thought they sucked?
Once their party got in power. Now, Cornel is running with the People's Party, founded by one of Bernie's old staffers. The People's Party tried to recruit Bernie to run with him in 2020, but he thought he'd had a better chance running as a Democrat. Cornel doesn't trust the Democratic Party. He remembers how they kneecapped Bernie in 2016 and in 2020.
And the establishment of the Democratic Party that we almost pulled off with Brother Bernie. We almost pulled it off, and then they all came together. The call from Obama, Pete drops out, Amy drops out. Next thing you know, they said anybody but Bernie. Why? Those corporate interests were being challenged. Why? Those militaristic policies were being at least examined.
The difference between Cornel and Bernie is that Bernie gets really quiet when there's a Democrat in the White House. Cornel doesn't.
Now,
how funny is it? Hey, Bernie, the kids are still in cages. Rob Reiner, did you get in your fantastic car? Never forget, Rob Reiner tweeted out, "Hang on, kids, we're going to come and get you out of those cages." Hey, Bernie, Medicare for All, not happening under the Biden-Harris administration. Hey, Bernie, student debt forgiveness, not going to happen. Hey, Bernie, investing into America's infrastructure, not going to happen. Hey, Bernie, stopping regime change wars, not going to happen. Climate change? Nope. Nothing. No, nada. Zip. You got zero. You got flim-flammed. You got screwed over, Bernie, but you're awfully quiet. How sad is it that Bernie Sanders is quiet? Gone are the days of Bernie Sanders being a voice. You know, I would say before the 2016 election, I mean, even a little bit during the 2016 primary, you know, he was this voice that inspired many people, and I'm going to keep it real. He inspired me too. But then during that primary and then going forward, Bernie Sanders started telling people to vote in the Democratic Party, the same Democratic Party that's been implementing the same neoliberal, neoconservative policies as the Republican Party. Bernie, you're awfully quiet, and how the Democratic Party just screws you over. Maybe you're just following orders. Maybe you're too old and too tired to fight. Gone are the days where I look forward to hearing Bernie Sanders speak. And we need people to call out the system. Be they green, be they with the People's Party, Libertarian Party, Independent. We need a voice out there. A voice out there to speak for the people.
now we've got to deal with the neoliberal disaster of Biden and Harris. And we've got to be very honest about it.
But he's milquetoast because he still is tied to Wall Street. He's got crimes of foreign policy.
We know Biden wouldn't be there, since Harris wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the black vote. You didn't deliver for black people. You delivered for Wall Street.
Now, if you go up against the entire Democratic machine, there's consequences. You're going to get smeared, or maybe even worse.
Anytime.
To which I have to say to Elon Musk, you've had DeSantis on Twitter Space. You've had RFK Jr. I would say send that olive branch out to, yes, Marianne Williamson. Send that olive branch out to Afro Man. to the Green Party, to the Libertarian Party, and yes, even to Dr. Cornel West himself. That must happen. That should happen. That needs to happen. And I hope that we do see it, because third-party candidates constantly get smeared. And I encourage all third-party candidates, no matter what party you're with, to show up on independent media, to make your voices heard, so that people hear your perspectives and how you're going to fight. I don't want to hear that excuse of, oh, we're just waiting to get on mainstream media. They're never going to respect you. And if they even do give you the time, they're going to ask you, why are you a spoiler vote?
Time you embark on a fallible pursuit of truth and justice, you focus on what you can do, how you can cultivate your own gifts and work with others in community in order to be a force for good. That you're always going to be misunderstood, misconstrued. You're always going to be attacked. There'll be character assassination, may even be a literal assassination. You just don't know.
RFK Jr., someone who knows a lot about political assassinations, already took a big bite out of Biden's base. Now, he's running as a Democrat and was polling at around 20%, but that was before primetime officially uninvited him. Now, Cornel's in the mix. He can suck up the far-left Democrats who are done with Joe. And
hey, Fox News, not going to tell you how to run your program, but give a platform to independents and third parties. I mean, I know it's corporate media, so I'm not expecting them to do much, but just do it to piss off the liberals. Do it just to own the libs, okay? It would be funny to me, but also important for voters to see, hey, here's a third-party candidate. There's another option besides the lackluster Republicans and the brain-dead Democrats.
there's a racial factor here, too. Biden's bleeding black and Hispanic voters. They thought they'd be better off under Biden, and now they realize they're dead wrong. That's a huge opportunity for Cornel. But he has an uphill battle. Unlike Ross Perot, Cornel's not a billionaire who can become a household name by buying up airtime. And to get on the ballot, Cornel needs to get thousands of signatures across all 50 states.
Now, I'm going to stop here because there's something I want to bring up to all of you. And this is the problem that a lot of third-party candidates are going to have to deal with, especially in my state. In Illinois alone, to get on the ballot, the Illinois Libertarian Party and the Illinois Green Party have shared the same consistent story with hard lens media. They have to at least get to 20,000 to 30,000, sometimes 50,000 signatures just so that they're secure to be on the ballot. Democrats and Republicans only in the thousands. And the reason for this is because Illinois has very harsh, draconian laws towards third-party candidates. I have to commend the Illinois Libertarian Party for actually pulling off and getting most of all of their candidates on the ballot for the 2022 midterm election cycle. Apologies for that earlier stutter. That's an incredible feat to do. And dare I say it, there are some states that are just as harsh or even worse than Illinois in regards towards having third parties on the ballot. So to libertarians, Greens, People's Party, or whoever else is out there, this will be a huge fight because there are laws at the federal and state level that prevent third parties from having a voice, to being seen by voters. But 50% of this country identifies itself as independent. So to that 50%, to half this population, and the off chance you see this video, make your voice heard. Fight for your right to vote for something else either than the Democrats or the Republicans. We're ruled over a two-party system that doesn't like us, that doesn't think about us, that doesn't respect us. Our politicians work for the donors. Our politicians are in these seats of power, and they are in there up until their 80s and 90s. We have old people making policy decisions, impacting our lives, and our lives are getting worse. These politicians in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have gold-plated health care, earning a six-figure salary, and so many other wonderful social benefits. Now's the time to vote different. And if this triggers vote blue, no matter who, Democratic voters or diehard red Republican voters, the American people have a right. We have a right to choose something else because it's one big club. And I think it's time we break it down. With that being said, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit that ring bell notification. That way you're made aware when we go live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central on YouTube, Odyssey, Rock and Rumble, and Twitch. Oh my goodness, we got so many lovely people here watching us. Good to see you here. Good morning, my sunshines, my lovelies. I hope you're safe getting on your way to work or leaving work, or if it's a day off, dance off, pants off. But we did want to make sure, get this proper acknowledgement. We did get 2 new subscribers. Mike H1223 has subscribed, and I'm gonna say your name wrong, but don't unsubscribe. Permisla Kieswelski has subscribed. I know I butchered your name, but I love you anyways. Thank you for subscribing to Hard Lens Media. Cheryl Manning, we love you, Kit, as you should. As you should. Robbie Burns, hashtag Team Pants. We're also hashtag Team Orca, by the way. Those orcas ain't playing around. Again, just my opinion about what's happening in the Straits of Gibraltar. I think somebody might have accidentally, hopefully it wasn't on purpose, but a baby whale might have died. All right, because these attacks been going on from 2020, right? And as it stands, the orcas have damaged between 250 to 500 boats. They've sunk 3. White Gladys is on a mission from God. And it's just not her. She's got her whole gang. They're looking for somebody. Somebody effed up. People, the rich people in your little fancy yacht clubs, open up your books. You got to find out who effed up. Somebody effed up. And like I said, if we get to 100 subscribers on this channel, if we get to 100 subscribers, 100K subscribers, duh. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. If we get to 100,000 subscribers, we're going to rewatch Orca. You know, that Orca's a real organizer. Let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you something. That Orca blew up an oil refinery, not in the ocean, but on dry land. He got things done. He's not like Jaws, just being a murdering machine. He was after one person. The orcas are looking for McAfee. Oh, he's already gone. But orcas, the off chance you're watching our channel, watching orcas, like has a waterproof cell phone watching us live right now. Listen, I need you to do us a solid. There's this guy named Bezos. He's got this really big yacht. I will try and do my best to find out what got White Gladys angry, who did that. But if you guys could also take out that boat that belongs to Jeff Bezos, I think we could gesture a peace deal. All right, fine. Pink bastard. All right, pink bastard. Okay. All right, we're doing this. All right. God damn it. Pants. Y'all didn't see my kitchen. You think this is CNN? Huh? You know, Jeffrey Toobin, I dress up. I go for the whole regalia. If you want to cancel me, I'm wearing flip-flops right now, okay? Oh no, Kit's not wearing shoes. Yeah. But I wear pants. What kind of operation you think I run here? You know what's on Miguel H? Pink bastards going to the White House counselor. Go. Get up. Go. 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 Dr. Nick Riviere, you may be our general surgeon for the live stream channel. Get up. Go see the White House counselor. Go. That's right, Miguel H. This ain't CNN. It's not a pantsuit. What? No. Blazer. Button-up shirt. Jeans. Larry says, Kit's not lubing like tubing. All right. Let's move on now. Oh, let me fix myself up. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Woo. Try and gotta be a little bit professional here. Gotta be a little bit professional. All right. Let's move on now to the next segment of the day. It's gonna be a short segment. Somebody's making some money. Somebody is screwing over the system. Somebody always knows, and it appears it was someone in Congress. What am I talking about? Here, check this out. Someone's doing some insider trading. We're going to find out who this jagoff is, because they are making a killing. If you're not following Unusual Whales, check out their website. This trader turned $2 million into a whopping $20 million. May 24th, 11:18 to 11:24 a.m. A trader unloads Eastern, $8. May 27th, that deal passes with Surprise Pipeline. Surprise Pipeline? There's a guy named Joe Manchin. You might not have heard of him. That big deal that he made involved a pipeline. Contracts rallied a plus 1,000. Wow. Someone always knows. It appears with someone in Congress. A thread. Look at that. Somebody's making some money. It could never. Let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 if it's, I don't know. It could be some nefarious, evil person, mustache twirling individual. Type 2, no, kid. It's somebody from Congress. Look at this. Again, you can see the huge aberration volume in the attached image. The trader grabbed every contract he could grab and quickly in a 6-minute period. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Cretaceous. Look at that. Somebody's making some money. Here, I'll leave that up even further. Look at that. Somebody's making some money. They're making the moves. This is unusual, according to Unusual Whales. The contracts in a liquid chain like this were filled at the mid at times, yet they held their position. Being close to Congress has benefits. It's a trader turning $2 million trade into a $20 million trade. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, folks. People are making some money on the side. That's right. We live in an upside down world here, folks. Upside down world. A lot of money's happening. A lot of money's trading. Oh, well. Octalash, it's always somebody from Congress. That's right. Jamie Teisel, it's Biff from Back to the Future. Oh, that hurts. That really hurts. That really hurts a lot, actually. Oh my goodness, that hurts so much. I won't forget that scene from Back to the Future. Yep. Hold on. What the hell's going on here? Mastermind Hour. What the? You know what? Get up. Go see the White House counselor. Go see the White House counselor. Everyone. And then end U.S. imperialism says, "What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?" All right. Let's go ahead and move on now to our next segment of the day. All right, let's talk about the Trump indictment. I know. Everyone's talking about it, but here's my perspective on it. It's a waste of time. This Trump indictment, I feel, is just going to give more political ammunition to Trump. This isn't Trump's first time going to court, and it's not going to be his last time going to court. And the way I look at the vote blue, no matter who, and Democratic establishment, this is a quick way for them to try and remove a potential challenger to Joe Biden. Let's face it, the aftermath of that CNN town hall really shook everyone up. It triggered everyone. It triggered the whole talent at CNN because Donald Trump came in there swinging. And if there were Republican voters sitting on the sidelines thinking, I might not vote, or I'm not going to vote for Trump. Their minds were changed because Trump effectively owned that entire town hall. This isn't open for debate. He owned it. And the DNC, since the aftermath, even during the 2016 Republican primary, the 2016 general election, and all of Trump's presidency, and afterwards, have been doing everything they can to make Trump irrelevant in American politics. But he's not going away. I want to pull up this video here in which Tulsi Gabbard talks about the Trump indictment and how it undermines democracy, or what we have as a democracy, because we don't live in a democracy. Hell, we don't even live in a republic. We live in an oligarchy. I think it's important we hear her words and hear her perspective. So I'm going to pull this video up. And I think we really need to talk about the overall stupidity of the DNC and how they are trying to put all their eggs in one basket to try and get rid of Trump. He is forever going to be immortal in American politics, whether you like it or not.
I love our country, and I've proudly sworn an oath twice. First, as a soldier enlisting because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11, and again as a member of Congress, where I served for 8 years. That oath swearing to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So when we look at the threats that we are facing today, those threats to our freedom, those threats to our Constitution, they're not coming from some far-off land or some foreign country. Those threats are coming from within. And they're coming, unfortunately, from people who do not share our love for this country, who don't share our appreciation for our God-given rights and freedoms that are enshrined in the Constitution. And so they are willing to sacrifice all of it in their ambitious and selfish hunger for power. And it's because of this that we are here today facing an unprecedented moment where a sitting president of the United States has taken action abusing his power to direct the federal government and justice system to be used against his major political opponent in the midst of a presidential campaign, charging him with multiple crimes with an election right around the corner. This is not something that should happen in the United States of America. And it could be the final nail in the coffin of our democracy.
To which I have to push back and say, that's already happened thanks to Citizens United, the McCutcheon decision, where money is speech and corporations are people, and the American people are still being screwed over under the neoliberal establishment. So we don't really have a democracy. I wish we did. It'd be nice, but we don't. And that's unfortunate. It doesn't have to be this way, but it is. So let's continue on.
Now, President Biden likes to talk to us about how he is a champion for democracy, both here in the United States and around the world. But when you look at his actions, it tells a very different story. Obviously, his administration's indictment of his primary political opponent and President Trump, and their ongoing efforts to target political opponents and limit free speech, these actions remind us of the things that we see more of in authoritarian regimes in other parts of the world, where it's almost commonplace to wield the power of the state to silence or eliminate opposition. Now, we know that the heart of a functioning justice system is that if a law is going to be enforced, it needs to be enforced equally across the board. That's not what we're seeing here. So my question for Biden supporters and the TV talking heads and pundits who are celebrating this indictment of President Trump, saying, hey, no one is above the law. My question for them is, where were you when James Comey decided not to charge Hillary Clinton with any crimes, even after speaking at great length about her many offenses, mishandling high-level national security documents? Where were your calls for accountability when President Biden himself was found to be holding classified documents?
No one wants to talk about it. But again, Hillary Clinton, plenty of scandals. Joe Biden, plenty of scandals. Holding classified documents, etc. It's easy to go after Trump because Trump, being the buffoon that he is, he doesn't know when to shut up. I mean, hell, he gave away the secret sauce about why there were still troops in Syria to get and protect the oil. That's it. I mean, let's face it, Ronald Reagan, Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, Bush Jr. was Cheney's hand up his wazoo, Obama, and yes, Biden. What would they say if they had U.S. forces in the Middle East or somewhere in Africa or Central America or in South America, etc.? Oh, we're there for freedom. We're there to rebuild the country, to protect the people, etc., and all this other kind of neoliberal stuff that keeps the American people asleep. Trump gave away the sauce. Oh, we're there for the oil. That's it. And since the war on terror, the reason why we're all over these different conflict zones, it's because of natural resources. To get the product. That's why we're there.
In his own home and in other locations. Where were you when James Clapper and John Brennan lied under oath to the United States Congress? And what about the accountability for the 51 senior former intelligence officials who intentionally made this baseless public statement at the behest of the Biden campaign with the specific intent of withholding information, the content of Hunter Biden's laptop, from voters, labeling it as Russian disinformation? How many times have we heard that before? Because they did not want us to be influenced by what was there and potentially have that impact the way that we voted in that election. And what about accountability for the FBI, those in the FBI who knowingly spread the Russia collusion hoax to try to undermine President Trump? It is heartbreaking to stand.
And again, let's face it, the Mueller report and yes, the Durham report, which was a huge gut check to the FBI and to the vote blue no matter who narrative and the neoliberal establishment media narrative of, oh no, Russia rigged our election, which it didn't. Now, the United States does that to other countries. But the side note, and this is very important, all of you need to be made aware of this. The United States Supreme Court of the United States, open the floodgates for there to be unchecked corruption, bribery. They legalize bribery. Anybody can buy a politician, be it U.S. companies and U.S. billionaires to foreign countries, foreign corporations, and foreign billionaires. Doors open. It's like that infamous clip from The Simpsons. You know, at the end where they're kind of making fun of Schoolhouse Rock and how a bill is made, right? And at the end, when the bill says like, "Hey, you've been added in," what does he say? Doors open, boys, and in come in all the crazy people. And that one little creature with the bomb in his hand, acting like Curly from Three Stooges. Madness and stupidity all around.
And here with you today, knowing that these are just a few of the examples. This is not a complete list, but it's evidence of the arrogance and blatant disregard for the American people, the rule of law, and our democracy that those in power have. This is why these things that I'm talking about, this should not just be of concern to Republicans. This is something that should be of concern to every American who values the rule of law, who understands that it's essential for our democracy.
I want to pull up this other video here too, where we have Kevin McCarthy giving a lesson to a CNN reporter. Anytime that CNN gets to be dragged around, I have to play a video because it's funny. It's funny to me.
The idea of equal justice is not playing out here. And so that's a real concern to all Americans. So as a policymaker, elected officials, we want to make sure it's equal justice for all. We want to look at it as weaponization. Now, you're with CNN, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this even further, because when somebody weaponizes government and they actually get removed from government, let's take Andrew McCabe, okay, former deputy.
But
let me answer the question.
This is a different set of circumstances, right? I mean, the former president is accused of misleading law enforcement, of a conspiracy of obstructing justice. That's a different set of facts. Are you prepared to defend him as the former president, and what other actions will the House take in the House Judiciary Committee in terms of funding?
Are you prepared to defend your network, CNN? I'm answering your question. You could ask me any question you want, but I'm entitled to answer the question, okay? You can't put words in my mouth. even though your network can hire Andrew McCabe, who was fired from the FBI for leaking classified documents. Did you remove him from your network?
Nope, CNN didn't do that. Again, while I am laughing at the pain that Kevin McCarthy has to deal with in regards to the Freedom Caucus, I do have to give him a thumbs up for at least owning CNN, because CNN, like all mainstream media outlets, they're all nothing but hypocrites. And they're all more than happy to carry on that ridiculous narrative of somehow, Russia rigged the primaries, and they are also carrying on that ridiculous Russiagate conspiracy theory. And they're more than happy to have all the vote blue, no matter who, sycophants on their network. And any chance we could see CNN getting owned, it's funny. And because, again, this Trump indictment, all it's going to do is give him more political ammunition. In my own personal opinion, I think he's going to walk away from it too. He's going to still continue on his campaign, and that's that. It's up to Republican voters whether they want him to be the nominee. That's up to them. But let's have democracy in the chat. Type 1 if you think, oh, this is it. The wall is finally closed in on Trump. That's it. It's over for him. Type 2, no, he's going to somehow brush this off, and he's going to continue on with the primary.
No, you continue to put him on to give judgment against President
Mr.
Trump.
Speaker.
You also hire Clapper. Clapper has come out publicly,
Mr. Speaker,
and
what steps what steps is the House going to take in terms of, is there any effort to defund the FBI, any effort to defund the Department of Justice
To fund the FBI? Doesn't sound too bad.
after what you've seen over the last several days?
So your network hires Clapper, who literally lied to the American public, one of 51 other individuals that had briefings and used it politically to tell the American public that a laptop was Russia collusion, even though it had all this information about the Biden administration. Are you prepared to get rid of those people from your network? Because my concern as a policymaker is that when you weaponize government, and now you're weaponizing networks, that is wrong. So we will take all of our power to make sure that the legal system in America gets the blinders back on and people are treated fairly. I have a real problem that your network actually pays people who did classified information and then lied to the American public to.
It's in front of cameras, but I bet this reporter wishes she was somewhere else. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat, because I don't want to pause too much on Kevin McCarthy speaking. We only got a few more seconds into it, but let's have democracy chat. Type 1 if you think this CNN reporter was prepared to actually deal with this kind of outcome with Kevin McCarthy. Type 2 if you think she wishes she was somewhere else, because for all these cameras, CNN's kind of getting dragged in the mud. And look, anytime CNN's being kicked, I got to play it. And of course, it's related to this story too with the Trump indictment, because CNN has had a lot of people on who have committed the same amount of crimes too. And the reason why also this Trump indictment's a waste of time is because the thing is, let's say they are successful in going after Trump in this way. That means all these other politicians are open for the same amount of scrutiny too. That's why I think Trump's going to walk away from this.
To try to influence a presidential election, and then you put them on your network to give an opinion about a president, and I'm answering your.
But you're not answering
very clearly,
what the
because
House
what
is
your
prepared
network
to
has
do.
done has weaponized at the same time. I think equal justice is important. For all.
Now, what can we take away from this? Well, CNN is not ready. CNN is never going to be ready for any kind of real fight, because CNN, being a media outlet that has successfully pushed fake news for a very long time, is finally getting what it deserves, to be held accountable for its own stupidity. Look, the Supreme Court of the United States legalized bribery. Anybody can buy an election. Anybody can rig an election. The Democrats rigged the 2016-2020 primary. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of evidence there already. The DNC admitted that they choose who they want as their nominee behind closed doors. Somehow, Trump holding classified information? This is just another attempt for corporate media and the vote blue no matter who crowd to somehow own Trump. This is their umpteenth time for trying to do this. More stupidity, and it's a distraction and a waste of time. But again, folks, I said this before, the Democrats are very good at shooting themselves in the foot. I'm going to laugh once again when Trump walks away from this. This isn't his first rodeo. With that being said, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that ring bell notification. That way all of you are made aware we upload new content onto our YouTube channel. And folks, there's a lot I want to pull up here as well. There's a lot of great stories happening, but so little time. And oh my goodness, everything that has a beginning must and will have an end. I don't want to end it. I don't want to end the show. What we got from Kurtznetsky Basin tipped $1.99 super chat with a dog giving a peace sign sticker. Thank you so much. You also again tipped $4.99 for a YouTube super chat. Thank you for that. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it as always. Always for my lovelies. Kyle says, so he won't answer the question and will keep answering her questions with questions. She is not ready. She ain't ready. She ain't ready. By the way, just so you guys know, I think I kind of just found this out. Hard Lens Media on Rockfin. Rockfin creators get this. We have an orca for an emoji. So if you're a Rockfin creator, you get the killer whale logo. We are officially Team Orca. Spread the word. We ain't effing around here. Okay? So hold on. Wait, who is this person? Kitsophone Fantasy? What? What? Who is it? Kit is so fat. What the heck am I reading? Who is this person? Okay. Anyways. Big Mr. Firebird, I swim with the orcas in the sea. They don't eat me. Okay, that's very good. Black Zen, OG, Orca Gang. Orcas hold the front. Let's see. All right. Shout out to all you wonderful people. Amber Gringo, good to see you. It's so good to see all of you lovely people. So, all right. There's a couple stories I might save for tomorrow. I'll see how they play out, right? But there's one story I want to bring up because I think it's good for us to get a laugh. We all deserve to laugh. We all deserve to laugh together. Let's see. Roger Meadows. Yeah, Roger. I couldn't get past the paywall for that one. So before the show started, I couldn't pull it up. I'm sorry about that one. I need to find another article talking about the same thing about that. And I just didn't have time when I was setting up this morning's show. So thank you so much for a $2 a YouTube super chat. Do appreciate it. But unfortunately, I couldn't get past that paywall. But I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about. So there we go. All right, let's get ready to laugh at this story here. This is from Case Study QB. So apparently Emily's List, a Democrat super PAC, will spend more than $10 million to prop up Kamala. Why they got to prop up Kamala? I thought everything's fine, K-Hive. Thought she's the best there is. Check this out. Emily's List to boost VP.
Was reporting that Emily's List, a powerful left-wing political action committee, will spend more than $10 million to prop up the vice president's image. This kind of investment in a sitting VP is unprecedented and perhaps underscores how the GOP will be targeting her even more as we move forward toward the election season. A senior Republican strategist told Politico this: VP Harris is a boogeyman that Republicans can and will use when it comes to pushing their message. Plus, her poll numbers certainly are not helping anything. GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley warns voters what pulling the lever for that ticket would really mean.
I don't need to even spoil it for you. It's a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala. And for those who don't remember about Kamala Harris's campaign in 2020, it started off with a bang and ended in a fart. That's right. Not a whimper. Not gonna say that. No. Kamala's campaign started off with a bang. And then she got owned not once but twice by Tulsi Gabbard during the Democratic primary debates of 2020. It happened. This isn't open up for any kind of talk or debate at all. It's Tulsi Gabbard torpedoed the Kamala campaign not once but twice. Simple as that. 1, 2, 3. And not to mention, Kamala's campaign went bankrupt and belly up even before the first primary vote took place. She's not popular.
Let's be very clear. If they think it's going to be President Biden, a vote for President Biden is actually a vote for President Harris. We are running against Kamala Harris. Make no bones about it. Every liberal knows it. They know that it's Kamala Harris that's going to end up being president of the United States if Joe Biden wins this election.
So why run against Kamala?
Well, I think she's right. Obviously, the issue is the age, and we expected this even to happen in the first term. It seems not to. We expect
it kind of is. I mean, Biden's recent videos showing Biden falling down on a invisible sandbag, and of course, Biden looking confused and dazed, looking like an old man. I mean, he exhibits a sign of someone getting early onset Alzheimer's or dementia. I mean, there's something wrong with Biden. It's interesting to also point out that there's been a lot of trouble in communication between Kamala's camp and Biden's camp. And plus, again, what does it say about Kamala when so far during this administration, she's been hemorrhaging a lot of staffers. A lot of people don't remember that, but Harlan's media covered it.
Expected him, if he wasn't going to run, that Kamala would run as the vice president. So I think it's a genuine issue. The other problem is, though, that the Republicans don't really have to work hard to make her appear to be unpleasant or a problem. Her own poll numbers already show that the American people are not impressed. It's her own presence, her own way of delivery, the word salad speeches, the lack of any action on the border, on other things she's been assigned to. Now, artificial intelligence, God help us, is that we're seeing that she doesn't deliver. Now, if you were a great vice president, the Republicans would be in real trouble right now, but she's not. And that the Democrats have to worry about that, independents do, and certainly Republicans as well.
So in regards to Kamala, she's got a lot working against her. She's a flawed individual who, again, is not respected by anyone across the political spectrum, by voters, and her polling approval is lower than Biden's. To which I have to say, Kamala, what is your excuse? What are you prepared to do to really make yourself stand out? I mean, are you going to tell people not to come at you? Do not come?
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Yes!
I'm a bad person. I never said I was the hero of the story. I never said that. I never said that. I never said that. All right. I never said I was a hero. I'm just a man living in a world out of control. Roger, could you send that link to me private message on Twitter? You tipped $2. Thank you so much for that. Can you do it? I'll post it up for tomorrow. I'll post it up for tomorrow. I would appreciate if you did that. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Nick. Holy cow. Okay. Dr. Nick, that is brilliant. Oh, you big brain individual. Holy cow, Dr. Nick. God, that'd be funny if someone could edit that. Don Lemon. Not Don Lemon. What's it? Don John? No. Don Trump. You know the guy who does the collage videos? I'm screwing up his name. I'm sorry. Why'd I call him Don Lemon? I didn't mean that. Or shut the F up, lib. You got a homework assignment. You got to have Jordan Sheridan. Dr. Nick Riviera writes, poor Jordan, wanting to finish, and Kamala says, do not come. Again, that was That's something I did notice from the Due Dissidents interview. You know, Jordan kept saying, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Hey, Matt Orff could do that too. Oh my goodness, man. That'd be great. That'd be great. That'd be great, man. Dr. Nick Riviera, you have officially won the live stream chat. You have officially won the live stream chat. Thank you. But before I end the show, there's something else I want to bring up here. Something else that I want to make an announcement for, because big announcement that's going to be taking place a little bit later today. Let me just go ahead and see if I can get this. Finally, great. Here we go. And I'm sorry I didn't make this announcement later or earlier. Oh boy, I'm all over the place. I'm running short on time. This week on the Misty Winston Show, there was Monday. Today's Tuesday. Kit Cabello. What? On TNT Radio, Misty Winston, who's also part of the INN network, her show, Bitch, is on the network. That's right. Bitch has come back. That's because it's all in capital letters. That's how I say it. That's so, all right, cool. All right. Dabby Dabs, do not come. Let me finish. All right. So, with that being said, we are going to be wrapping up the show. Huge respect to all of you, my wonderful, beautiful audience. And with that, before we end the show, we got some music from Jesse Jett. Everyone who disagrees with you is an extremist. Everyone who disagrees with you is an extremist. So be sure to sit back, relax, enjoy the music. And we also got a fun counting game at the end of said music video. Until then, folks, keep your heads on a swivel. Keep on winning. So glad to have you guys here with us in the morning. We've been doing a 2-hour program now almost. Hard Lens Media doesn't know when to stop, but we also know when to finish. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see all you hip, cool cats tomorrow, Wednesday morning. But again, Jimmy Dore with Hard Lens Media this Sunday, 1 p.m. And next week, Monday, in the morning, Tara Reid will be joining us. If you don't got it, get it. Tune in to Hard Lens Media every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Central on YouTube, Odyssey, Rack and Rumble, and Twitch. If you want to help us out, please consider being a Patreon supporter. If you can't be a Patreon supporter, guess what? Enjoy the show. As always, my lovelies, my mornings, my sunshines, take good care of yourselves, keep on winning, and let us all do what we can to build a better future. Take care, folks. I am up out of here.
Land of the free, and you'll know us by the trail of death. It's just one more world war to complete the set. When you live by the pike, you die by the pith. You die wide-eyed, still pleading the fifth, or crying divine epithets and pathetic attempts at defense. All empathetic for those on your side of the fence. Well, I'll gladly put you and your legacy into an alternate tense of faltering senses and altered events. Like hun, it ain't a hearse, it's a reaper's stretch. Ah, how sweet, she said. Bunch of hordes in the street like it's Evil Dead. Where the thin blue line meets razor's edge. And where the corporate ladder ascends to a steel-toed boot that awaits on the ledge. You'll be licking it fresh at your boss's request till it stomps each finger and watches you fall to your death and drown in an ocean of debt. Gone with the fodder who gathered to honor the patient left, who purity tested themselves into sections, step by step, till the next election, when it's just one them and the sound of their well-read theorized breath. That's harm reduction for the lowly cost of you holding your nose and just openly buying the theft. Maybe that's all in the flick of the pen. Maybe we're all one unmarked van from a trip to the pen, being guarded by pigs who exist on a diet of dying breaths of much worthier men. Honey, heaven's expecting you. Just don't get too hung up on who they let in. Just look up at the shine of the pearly gates. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the paint. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the water, lead in the milk, lead in the honey, lead in the caustic embrace of the Heavenly Father. Lead is the flavor of passive perpetual slaughter. Lead is the taste of us led to the ledge by the lure of the legend of expert consensus, and then beckon to stretch it just one step farther. And I hope all the folks who were boastfully gloating and toasting themselves as the heroes of COVID for boosting their boosters and doing their part are now equally thrilled to be starstruck martyrs. All laid in a government grave with anonymous markers, like you're back from the carvers and off to the splicer. You're the very first wave to be slain in the war against Pfizer, that 100 years war against Pfizer. They are thinning the crowd that is striking right now to bleed adequate pay from those inhuman misers, who all sit in their office and designate coffins to people regarded as nothing but profit for Kaiser. Still the Dems want you nicer. Dems want you softer. Dems want you kinder. Yeah, they all want you graciously starving in silence. You will speak when you're spoken to. Rest of the time, you and all of us peasants are merely depressing statistics neglected in Congress's binders. All bled, bone dry, then fed to the grinder. Our headstones line each step as reminders. That's a lesson in object permanence learned in the furnace by workers consigned to the fire. Workers bled, bone dry, then fed by the fed to the grinder. Fed by the fed to the grinder. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. And the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, bleeds you dry, then dines on the dead. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dies on the dead. Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your mind, that it grinds yourself, that it bleeds you dry, that it dies on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led.
So I realized the person I was giving a shout out to, because there's Shut the F up, Lib, who does great collage videos, Matt Orfla, Turncoat Don. I'm sorry I called you Don Lemon. That was, or Don something, okay? Turncoat Don does great collaboration videos. If you could do that video of Jordan saying, let me finish, and Kamala says, do not come, that would be great. I hope I'm not canceled. Until then, folks, take care. I'm up out of here. Peace to you guys. And remember, as always,
You'd have to be a little more specific. Who are you talking about? Jimmy Dore? I mean, I don't really want to talk about Jimmy for an hour, but Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore. I did not bring him up. Jimmy Dore. You're the one that brought up Jimmy, to be clear. So Jimmy
is an authority.
Jimmy, Max Blumenthal. Not into this because you guys have wanted to talk about the Jimmy stuff, but Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, Jimmy Dore's RBN, Jimmy Dore, or certain people they like. Jimmy Dore, the doorknob feathers. And I can tell you, Jimmy